This is part 2 with my friend Jordan Webb. He had 8 kids by 30. He blew up his company, completely blew up the revenue model of the company and said, what is the very best thing for me to focus on? He went and did that. The business took off. But before he ever got it to fully take off, he moved to Hawaii to fully run the business remote. He spends his time between Hawaii and Alaska. He's been through every problem you can imagine, every challenge you can recite, but he's persevered. He's pulled it off. This is part 2. Enjoy.
So today you live between Hawaii and Alaska, two incredible places. Is it as great as it would sound?
Oh, it's amazing. It's a dream come true.
Yeah,
truly.
So the story on how you end up in Hawaii, because you grew up in Alaska, and I'll let you tell it, but Kylie's got to get out of Alaska for health reasons. And so you have this, what I'd call near impossible challenge of how in the world do I run my Alaska business that's people dependent labor. It's not an e-commerce store. It's not a software product. It's very physical, and we need to be gone from this state. How do you do that?
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Yeah. So Kylie has like Crohn's, celiacs, tons of dietary restrictions, like dietary allergies, right? So she was just debilitated in Alaska. And when we were going to all these different doctors, she got prescribed in 2012, moved to Hawaii. And it's just a prescription, and it was all caps, moved to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit offended, but I was like, okay, whatever, she might know something. And so we started.
Why Hawaii?
So Kylie told her that when she went to Hawaii, we went in 2012, and then we went in like 2008. And every time she went, all of her rashes would go away. It got so bad, her like fingernails were falling off. She had rashes on her face. She was bleeding. She couldn't touch water. She would get at like pneumonia every fall, coughing up blood. Her stomach would swell up. I mean, just tons of stuff. But when she went to Hawaii, everything like calmed down, and she felt like a whole different person.
And it happened pretty quick, if I remember
10 days.
correctly.
Yeah, so 10 days. So here I'm stuck in Alaska. We win the trip to Italy, biggest badass transformation. The next 3 years, I just kept pivoting to a different service. I was like, wow, you could build a $500,000 business like really quickly. So I was like, well, mowing lawn's taking long. I'm going to try doing this, and I'm going to try doing this. And for 3 years in a row, I kept pivoting to a different service, hoping that that would free me to get me to be able to move to Hawaii. And it didn't. I just made a bigger mess because we had drywall tools, we had electrical tools, we had lawnmowers, we had fertilization stuff, like everything. It was just a wreck. And so how I did it was actually the epiphany happened at the Service Autopilot conference in 2018 when you were speaking. I was sitting like front and center, and I remember it like it was yesterday because it was a huge epiphany. And you're asking questions, and you're talking to an audience of maybe a few hundred people, right? Would you say?
Yeah. Probably 3 something, yeah.
Yeah. And you said, like, what is that one service that you know better than anything? And it was a rhetorical question, but in my head, I thought deck business. What is the one service that's the most profitable? Deck business. What is the one service that's easiest to sell? Decks. And you kept asking these questions, and the answer in my mind was always decks. And at the time, I wasn't doing just decks. I was doing decks. At that time, I probably did 500 decks, but I was not just doing decks. And so I just had this light bulb moment of like, wait a minute. Actually, you said, imagine if that's all you did. And I actually pictured, I'm like, wow, my life would be so easy. Like, it'd be unreal. And so that's what I did. So it was this impossible endeavor. It was July 9th, 2019. I created the domain Deckmasters AK, created a landing page with a form that same day, and then started paying Google ads for decks in Alaska, July 9th. And I was determined on a few things. One, I was never going to not answer the phone, ever. And that was a commitment I had with Kylie and everyone around me. So if we sat down for coffee, first thing I would say to you is, hey, just let you know if my phone rings, I'm getting it. but don't take offense.
Yeah.
And they would understand, okay, if I went to a meeting with a client, which I would do 10 to 14 meetings a day, the first thing I'd say, like, hey, I'm Jordan with Deckmasters. By the way, I might get a phone call. If I do, I'm going to take it. And that would communicate two things to them. One, I'm setting the expectation. Two, if they called me, I'm going to answer it. And I never didn't answer it. I always answered the phone. So every lead I got a text within 1 minute. I would call them within 5 minutes every time. And so from July 9th, 2019, 34 days later, we sold $527,000 of decks. And I didn't even have the guys to do the work. I would forecast. Client would say, hey, I want a deck built. How far out are you guys? We're 3 months plus. Okay. And I had one deck crew, and I sold enough work for multiple deck crews. And once I started stacking up the work, then I started pursuing clients and team members at the same time. So now I'm making phone calls. Hey, do you know how to build decks? And do you know of anyone that knows how to build decks? Those conversations. And I would stack both clients with team to make sure that we can fulfill what we told them while maintaining the brand. And then when I took my family to Hawaii. I was 28 years old and I had 5 kids with one on the way. And this also is around a very hard time of our life because I had IRS issues and health issues. Health issues outweighed the IRS for sure.
Kylie's health issues?
Yeah, Kylie's health issues, yeah. But still, we had financial issues through pivoting so many times and just a dysfunctional, unhealthy business. Then once I realized that niche of just decks, and I actually truly still know that better than anything, it has changed our life. And just consistently staying on that thread, not looking for the $200,000 deck, but the $15,000 deck, and doing really good at that, and the $20,000, and just doing that over and over and over and over. And that was the vehicle that was able to get us to Hawaii. We've been in Hawaii for 5 years, and now I have 8 kids, and this is my 5th year running the company from Hawaii. And it all came through focusing on one thing, getting really good at it, building the system around it, building the teams around it. Now all the tools when you come to our shop, it's everything you need to build a deck and nothing else.
And when was it that you eliminated the other business? So you decide you're going all in on decks, but you still got the other business that's paying the bills and taking care of you. Mm-hmm. How far back was it that you eliminated that business entirely? Not too long ago, I eliminated that business. Yeah, so that business, it was almost like existing and still doing okay and maybe kind of digging out, and we're getting a grip. But that business took a lot more team, a lot more labor, and a lot more assets to get momentum, and it took longer to actually, dig out of a hole. So it came to a place, actually, my main team member passed away just this last summer. And that kind of put a halt to everything. I see.
The guy that was running that company. Mm-hmm. And so I had to quickly let all my clients know, hey, as of right now, we don't know what we're doing. And I was in Hawaii when it happened. And then I reached out to everyone I knew, like, hey, can you take care of this client list? And most of them were like, no. And anyway, so I had to do a transitional thing where I passed the clients to another contractor to take care of them. And anyway, so I just did that not too long ago.
And what's the outcome?
Amazing. So I didn't think that company took a lot of mental capacity from me. Mm-hmm. Not having it, oh my gosh. I mean, that company did snow plowing. I was in Hawaii. Even though snow plowing didn't fully take care of me directly in that way, whenever it snowed a half an inch, I was up. Mm-hmm. Every night. I've been waking up every Alaska snowfall in Anchorage since 2012 or 2009 or 10. This was my first winter being able to just sleep.
Even though you're in Hawaii, you're still having to wake up.
Yeah, I was waking up just to make sure.
Yeah,
just to make sure, like, hey, things are good.
Yep.
Or I would wake up in a panic, like, oh, did everything go well? That kind of thing. So that's gone, and the mental capacity and the clarity and the focus has been unreal. Way more focus, way more capacity. I didn't realize the amount of capacity it was taking until it was gone. And then I thought, man, like, what could I have done if I did that sooner? You know what I mean?
How does this resonate with you? And I'm not trying to lead you into saying yes.
Yeah.
So push back. But you're a company, you're offering 6 services. You look at your P&L, you stack rank the revenue generated by those services, and you maybe cut the last service. Does simply cutting a service out of your business potentially free up mental capacity? Does it help the business?
I think it all depends on the service. So when you look at my deck company, mine would reveal that. And we have one service that is called sanding. So we build decks, but we have in the wintertime, we have this truck that has a sander on it where we spread ice melt and gravel on the roads. We need it for our guys. So it's an asset in the company. But also when clients ask us, we could make per man hour like $1,000 a man hour. And the gravel costs like...
Could you just build a business around that?
I want to.
Maybe the deck business isn't as good as I thought it was.
I want to.
Wow.
So it's unreal. Like literally. So I guess that's a real example of, I'm probably not going to cut that because I need that asset for my company.
Sure.
But on top of that, I could provide a service. So like, let's say the weather conditions aren't great to build a deck in the winter. We build year round. But one guy could jump in a truck, load up $60 of gravel and make $3,000 in a couple hours and, clock off. And so that's an example of, it's not always the case.
Yep.
I would say in my other business, absolutely. If I looked at all my services and all the little things I was doing, I could have taken the last 60% and just been like, no, and maybe not revenue necessarily, but also like know-how. What are we good at?
I agree. If I was having a conversation about the topic I just brought up, you stack rank your P&L, you look at the revenue it's being produced, but there's other considerations.
Right.
Maybe a service that doesn't generate a ton of revenue is really good for the company reputation in some way. Or it's the long-term direction we're taking this business, or it's just insanely easy to provide. So I think you think about things like, okay, what's the gross margin on it? Right. How complicated is to train the team to do this? Can we really scale this service up? What kind of equipment does it take? Do we have super expensive equipment just sitting there but it's being underutilized? I think there's a lot of questions you ask yourself to say, of the 6 or 10 services I'm doing, could I get rid of 1 or 2?
Right.
It's not as simple as just cutting the bottom one.
Totally. I have a thought on that though, in regards to clients.
Yeah.
I definitely think, and you might be wanting to ask this question, but it's something I'm passionate about. Let's say you have 100 clients. I highly recommend year over year considering taking your 20% of your clients, or raising your price by 10, 20% year over year. You will naturally have your lowest paid clients, the clients that are more hassle clients, drop off of your database and not be interested in your services anymore. And you'll do less work
and make more money.
And not only like less work physically, but also less administrative work, because you're not dealing with the same emails like Mrs. Smith arguing about the $1.50 that she could save on that half a bag, when like, are we really talking about this? We've spent 30 minutes talking about this, like the administrative costs of that. And now Mrs. Smith had picked a different company and you're moving forward, and you have all the clients that like how you bill. They like how you do the work, and they are totally willing to pay you because they trust you and you show up when you say you are. And I did that. Like, that was like a no-brainer. The first time I did it, I was so scared. And then after that, it was like, this is the best thing ever. Because it totally changed. My team loved it. It was like, wait, we're producing the same amount of revenue, but we're working less? That was cool.
When you did that, was it 20% of the clients that you raised? Or was it that you raised a smaller
I raised the price. 100% of the clients got their price increased.
Okay.
By like 10 or 20. But I was undercharging for a very long time. And that's how I got into the market. And then I had to catch up. And there was some people that were like, oh man, but then there were people like, yeah, I got a bid one time, and they get it.
Yep. Did you lose a lot of clients when you did that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. That's what,
no.
I mean, I have pricing conversations all the time. We have pricing conversations internal at our businesses. And when I'm giving advice to somebody else, I'm pretty much raise your prices. It never goes bad. Whenever I'm having the conversation at my company, I'm like, oh crap, is this a good idea? Should we do this? Let's talk about this. And then it's like, what are we talking about? It never freaking goes bad.
So funny.
It just never goes bad. It always works.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of a single person that's ever told me I raised the prices and it put my business in trouble. It is universal that you raise your prices, and life is, wait, why didn't we do this 5 years ago?
Totally.
Why didn't I do this every year? Yeah, so that's very interesting.
I want to add on that because I heard you say this 2014, 2015, 2016. I didn't really do it till like 2017 or 18 out of like, okay, something like I'm willing to, really I did it because I was willing to lose half the clients. Like if they really weren't willing to pay, I was just like, whatever, like this is getting ridiculous. And then I raised the price and it was like hardly any kickback. I was like, wait, what? Like,
well,
what?
Exactly. I can tell you a story about that one too. So I have all these, like all these individuals that I worked with that I'm giving them advice and I'm getting them to raise their prices, but I'm a complete absentee owner in another one of my businesses. And I'm not talking to my team about raising their prices. I'm talking to you guys. And so I actually, had a bigger contribution to your worlds by saying, do this, than my own company who didn't raise their prices a number of those times. I mean, it's all good today, but there were years that you guys were raising prices and we were all getting confidence from each other because it wasn't going bad for anybody. But I was so busy focused on my software company and then Academy, our coaching business, that I wasn't even having these conversations at my other company.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
Stupid.
Yeah.
So, but this is how life in business works. So anyway, it's great. So I think you oversimplified something, and that is you pivoted to Deckmasters, right? Deckmaster?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Deckmasters, yeah.
You pivoted to that, and you kind of made it sound like I pivoted to that. It fixed a lot of my problems. We went to Hawaii. All was great.
Right.
If you have 10 business owners in a room, they pivot to Deckmasters, get the same outcome as you. None of them go to Hawaii successfully and run a remote company. How do you do that?
I would say through learning and implementing EOS.
Okay. So
I think EOS was the vessel that I had to learn and understand how to have structure around business.
So tell people what EOS is, just real briefly.
Yeah, so EOS is Entrepreneurial Operating System. And you can learn about it through the book called Traction or the book called What the Hell is EOS?
Okay.
And both of them, it's just basically a general outline of like, okay, to operate your business, implement this system, and it will help you with where is the company going, how are you going to get there, and then it's who's going to get you there, what team you have, look at the whole company to do what you want to do. How many team members do you need, and what seats do you have people in, and what seats do you not have people in? Who do you need to hire? And then on top of that, it gets into like roles and responsibilities, KPIs, measuring like Sam knows that every day she needs to do these things in order to move the company in the direction. And so everyone in the company is on the team towards the bigger goal. And I couldn't do it without that. That's one big one. I did think of another one though.
All right.
The next one is company culture. So I'm 3,000 miles away and I run my company in a way that we're like family. Like I am there for them. And prior to me going to Hawaii, I invited the team and they met Kylie. Kylie's really sweet. And they saw her and I said, guys, I need to get her out of here. They saw her suffering. They saw her pain. They saw my pain. And so they joined arms in what I had to do for my family. That's a huge culture thing. I could have never have talked about Kylie to them. I could have never have said anything. I could just said like, I want to live in Hawaii.
Yeah.
I think it would have been totally different.
You got the buy-in. They rallied.
Totally. It was like, guys, I have no other option. And actually,
I'm not just going to Hawaii to live it up. Thanks for doing all the work.
Right. And then on top of that, I give them responsibility. And so they get paid more. They get more responsibility because I'm not there. They need to do more than just that one thing. And so we have metrics and things that each team member has to do. And then we meet weekly to make sure that we're moving everything forward and we keep track of everything. And it's been amazing. Mm-hmm. So that was huge. So culture and EOS was like almost like the two footings.
Yeah.
Of if without the culture, if my team didn't have buy-in, and that really comes down to who you are.
Yeah.
Like they look at me
exactly.
And if they're in need, am I there? And it doesn't mean you have to enable them and give into all their wants and desires, but they truly are like family to me because they help my family, help me take care of my family.
Yeah.
And so we have that relationship. Anyway, it's been really awesome.
How often are you back in Alaska with the business?
Just summertime.
What is that? 5 months, 4 months, 3 months?
So I'm in Hawaii 9 months a year.
Okay.
And then I'm in Alaska for 3 months a year. And even when I'm in Alaska, this is an interesting topic. I don't even show up because I'm a disservice physically. I'm way better off. The company is way better off when I don't get in the way.
Yeah.
And so
this is not an unusual situation.
And they see it. So when I am in Hawaii, 3,000 miles away, material gets delivered. All the vendors are taken care of. All of our clients are communicated with. Everything's done. And this is when I was overseeing all that. Now we have a team doing that kind of stuff. And then when I go there, I get stuck in the weeds. And I'm meeting 14 people a day, changing a tire, hauling lumber over here, and helping this guy over there. And nothing gets done. And I go, so I call it caveman style. I go back to caveman style. So I have to, and my team knows it now. We kind of laugh at it. Because I like working with my hands. Like people look at me like, oh, you have an office desk, so hard. It actually is hard for me. I like pushing things. I like lifting things. I like working. I'm a kinesthetic learner. I had to learn how to be a more mind strategy leader type of a businessman rather than I could go build a deck all day and do that for a long time. But I didn't see a future in that for me or my family. So I had to learn this way of doing it. And so even when I go back there, I have the temptation of like, I want to work 16-hour days with the guys. The sun's up in Alaska. Sun doesn't go down. You have tons of energy, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So it's hard. So when I'm there, I still consider myself a remote. So we have our business is mainly in Anchorage, and I have a cabin in Willow. And
what's that, 90 minutes?
Yeah, 90 minutes away. And that's where I'm at most of the time. And I just work from there.
So the family lives there. When you're not there, where are you staying? You just get an apartment or not like a hotel?
I never not stay there.
Oh, okay. So you might drive in, work that day, and drive home.
Which I don't even like.
Yeah, so you're never there.
Totally. And I don't need to be now.
Yeah.
That's what's cool is because of the system we built and the team and seeing what we need, we fill in those roles and I just lead, manage, and hold them accountable. And we keep moving down the path. It's been amazing.
So now it's a very different life. You're doing millions of dollars. The company's growing significantly. To get to this place where you're at now, what do you think one or two of the biggest changes that have been within you that happened because you built a bigger business, because you went through this process of being an entrepreneur and building a company? How do you think that's changed you?
Well, I'll just say my family, I'm a way better husband.
Why?
I'm a way better husband. I'm way more present.
Why though?
I have the time and the resources, like to take my wife out on a date every week, period. No questions asked. Because that 3-4 hours that I could be working, I learned that investing in my relationship with my wife and making sure that she is heard and seen and we have fun together as friends. I enter into the workplace so fulfilled and producing at top level And I see guys who their wife and their relationship with their wife is rocky, and they can't even think. And I've been there. You can't even think when you're working. It's like you slam the door and you're like, I'm just going to work this off. And you go to work and you're like, I can't even think right now because I'm so bothered by what's happening in my home. And then you just sit there and you waste time on your phone. You procrastinate. You don't have the courage to have the hard conversations with the client that you need to have for you to collect the deposit that they owe you, or to talk to the insurance and negotiate confidently, because you actually are able to be confident, right? So when my wife is taken care of and my kids and our whole family's fulfilled, and I take care of my body, like I go on a walk, I walk 3 to 5 miles a day, every day, either during sunrise or sunset. And that feeds my mind, my body. I've lost 50 pounds in like 3 years. Good. I'm trying to get lean, and then I'm going to build muscle. I didn't even know I weighed that much, actually. It was like this subconscious like fade, and it was right around COVID. And then like
I feel like you look about the same as the last time I saw you. So I must have missed the whole.
I think you must have, but I held it kind of neutral.
Yeah.
Like I see pictures, I'm like, okay, I can kind of see it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's way different. Though I have abs now, and I didn't have abs the whole time you've known me.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So my wife and my kids are more fulfilled, and I can come to the workplace a totally different person. Excellence, confidence. There's no fear. That's actually a really big one. Like nothing's impossible, really. It's more like, when is enough? I guess that's a question. Like, when is it enough? That might be
what enough?
Yeah. When is your business enough? And that's something that people wrestle with. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I lean towards, if I keep hitting my mic, I lean towards getting to a place where you said everyone on your team is thriving and doing what they should be doing. You're doing that. I mean, maybe not every single person, because there will be people that have to cross-train and do things that they don't love, right?
Yeah.
But let's say the leadership team. I mean, if you're any smaller than that, it's going to be hard to be fulfilled, hard to stay on track, hard to keep confidence, even cross-training. You miss an employee, and then now, you got to go back there. Like your employee quit, bam. Rather than you have a team, employee quit, which shouldn't even happen, by the way. You should fire them. But they quit, and then we have 3 guys on the bench wanting to work with you to sit there. And then you meet with them, and then you fill the seat within a week. Like a totally different strategy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You totally know what I mean.
I totally know what you mean. You lost 50 pounds. How'd you do that? Because that's probably what 90% of people want to do. Maybe their number's not 50, but there's very few people that are happy with their health situation. What'd you do?
First, I realized how bad it was. I didn't even know. It was like the slow fade. I've always been I was the runt of the family. I was like born premature. I've like skin and bones. And then like something happened. I hit 30 or something. I don't know. And then I just put on weight, and I wasn't walking. I was eating really good meals in my home. Like I work from home and I sit down a lot, stand up, and I just was eating. And so I got to a place, I think the first thing I realized was how bad it was. This is not good. My back, I have a slip disc from football, and it was like always acting up. And then my arms from football and pitching would just like fall asleep all the time, both of them. There'd be times like when I couldn't even move my arms.
Were you just sitting there and they fall asleep?
No, like sleeping.
Okay.
Or no. So now sitting, and actually I heard it playing pickleball recently, but these like fingers will get numb.
Okay.
From something that's going on here.
That pickleball stuff's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, definitely. And so, my arms are getting numb, my knees, my back. I wasn't even like physically energetic for my kids. Anyway, I just came to a place, I watched a video of Ed Milet, and he said a lot of people lie to themselves. They're like, oh, it's good enough. Oh, it's okay. And it was like, no, you're fat. Like I'm fat. Like I'm not where I should be. And this is a disservice to my wife, to my kids, to me, to my team, to my clients. And I actually, I'm starting to learn that body fat percentage, I think it actually, it could be a different factor, but I do think it could have something to do with mental clarity. I'm just like experiencing a level of mental clarity. Like
I would say every part of me believes that.
Okay. Because
I have no data on that, but every part of me believes that.
Yeah, like I imagine like a human body, low body fat, muscle, lean. I mean, I guarantee the wiring in the brain is more like on point, and it feels like that.
I am positive.
So what I bring to the table now is a completely different person in confidence. One, standing for integrity and truth, right? Those are huge things. I think that just comes down to identity. No matter what, tell the truth. If you don't want to tell the truth, just say you don't want to say it. You know what I mean? But don't lie.
Yep.
That will tear down your spirit, your mind. People see that. They see you and they're like, ooh, something's wrong with that guy. There's something in that guy. People see it. They might not say it, but they see it. And so always speaking truth. And if someone asks you a question, you don't want to say it, just say, oh, I don't want to answer that question. That's a lot better than lying, because you start lying, you start pulling your body. Like you just change.
Yeah.
You know? So that was huge. And then now like the confidence, I don't know. I'm like at a totally different level now than I've ever been.
It's awesome.
I know.
So how'd you do it though?
Okay. Walking is huge. 12 to 15,000 steps.
A day.
So that's probably the biggest thing. So I lost 40 pounds and then I plateaued. And then for a year, I couldn't figure it out. And it frustrated me. Everything I researched, I was like, man, I'm just not getting it. So then I also said that I didn't want to have to count my macros.
Mm-hmm. That's the work. I can't stand that.
Yeah, and I was like, this is ridiculous. I want to get where I want to be without counting my macros. I know. So I'm like, I
don't want to fill out my Fitness Pro or
My Fitness Pal.
God, sucks. I don't care if it's a template it's memorized. I don't want
Totally. Actually, okay, so I'm getting somewhere because I get to where I'm like 40 pounds lighter. And I'm like, okay, then I plateau for a year, and that was discouraging. I was working hard. I was walking. I was working out really hard. And I was like, I want to do this without, my Fitness Pal counting macros. Well, then I ended up hiring a coach. And he taught me some really huge things. It was expensive, but totally worth it. The first week, I already got my money back, literally. And that's where I've been. Like, if I plateau anywhere in my life, there's something I need to learn to break through that, or there's something I need to do consistently long enough to break through it. That's like the simplest equation I could ever come up with.
I love that. I'll tell you, we've had these conversations, but I think about when you have significant resources, call them financial resources, and you're in a position where you can buy more cars, you can buy more houses, you can buy whatever. Way better than that is to take that money and hire people to do stuff for you and to hire coaches. Like, to me, as I think about like what's the best version of life to live, it's not about I've got another house somewhere, because you can run another house. It's that I just got 20 more things off my plate that somebody else does for me. Back to, I don't want to do stuff I don't want to do. I want to live in my strength and do the things I love and only do those things. And then second, I want to be the absolute best version of me that I can possibly be. I want to grow these different skill sets. What's the fastest unlock to do that? It's coaching. So like, as you create wealth, not that you need to wait till you have wealth, but like, it's not about buying more stuff. It's about spending even more money on coaches and even more money on delegation. And
So good.
I went off on a tangent there, but I think that, because I'm always thinking about like, okay, what's the next level here? How can I optimize this thing even more? How can life be even better? I think there's a risk of that. This is could be a whole nother conversation that if things are too easy and too good, you have no stressors in your life. Doesn't necessarily make life happier or you better. But I just had to kind of accentuate the point of coaches. I think I have come to conclude that is one of the things that can make life better.
Yeah, and really coaches
happier.
Create pressure. That's really what they do. They're going against something that hasn't been happening, right? Like you are who you are because of what you've done. And a coach is going to help analyze, okay, what is the thing that needs to change? And then they assign that thing. And then if you do it, you should see different results, right?
Did you do anything specific from an eating standpoint?
Count my macros.
You did count them.
I'm counting them.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm actually, so now I got to where, and I've only been doing this for like 3 months.
Okay.
And I've already lost like 10 pounds. Like
just counting them?
Yeah. And walking. Okay,
Yeah.
and there's another thing. Working out hard is actually a counterproductive. So this is one of the biggest breakthroughs.
Which is just anti-everything a hard charging, driving
Totally.
forward
Right.
entrepreneurial person believes. It's like massive action.
Yeah.
We're going to solve this problem. We're going all in, going hard.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I just think of all the times I ran. I hate running. And I ran miles, 12 miles, 10 miles, 8 miles, destroying my knees, trying to like get to where I wanted to be, trying to experiment, and not anything was changing. Well, then I hired this coach. Literally the first week it paid for itself. It was $10,000, not cheap. I'm telling you, the first week it paid for itself because I gained knowledge. I'll never be the same. It was when you walk 12 to 15,000 steps a day, that will help get your heart rate at a level. I mean, I do it consecutively. So I actually will walk that without stopping. And that's the best for me. And I listen to a book while I do that. So it's super, I don't know, it's super helpful. But so when I do that consecutively,
it's nice to live in Hawaii and not Alaska.
Totally,
when you're wanting to do that.
Yes. Actually, even here, like trying to go outside in the cold, like, man, it definitely changes the game.
Yeah.
You'd have to, I mean, I would probably have to go to a gym.
Yeah.
Truly. Which sucks because I love sunlight too.
I love being, 100%. I have to live where there's sunlight.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to you off.
So the biggest thing was walking. Don't underestimate walking. Walking is huge. It's better than running, and it's better than working out hard. So walking, just start walking. Then it was count macros. And I'm in a calorie deficit because I'm trying to burn, right? And I'm probably not going to do that very long. But then the next thing was don't work out very hard. So when you work out 3 days a week,
including lifting weights.
Yep. 3 days a week, not 4, not 5. 3 days a week.
Really?
But don't stress your body out. If you stress your body out by running or working out hard, it sends all the stress hormones in your body and you will store fat.
Huh.
And I actually experienced it because I would just push harder and harder and harder, like trying to like run myself to the ground, and nothing would change. Like I would get like pudgy or something. Like it was just like, what is happening? I couldn't figure it out. And then he said that, and in 3 months, I already lost 10 pounds. Burn fat. Like I have abs. I didn't have abs 3 months ago. And like my daughter, who's 14, this all started with a challenge that she had with me. She was looking at pictures of like Tom Holland or something. And
oh, you told me this.
Yeah, and I was like, he's not ripped. And she's like, Dad, you couldn't look like this.
I remember
this was a year ago this month.
Okay.
I said, I bet I'll look like that at Christmas. And she looked at me. She's like, really? I said, watch me.
And there's another example of
Yes.
proving to your family that you keep your word.
And so this is what she did. Literally this last week, I went swimming in the ocean, came up to the beach. She's sitting down, and she's 14. She's pretty vain. Like she watches people's bodies, and she went like,
that's awesome. That's going to make you feel good.
It did. I was like, okay, and I'm not even done. Like, this is like step one. Like
next phase is putting on more muscles. That you said.
Yeah.
Good
like another 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's awesome.
And that will take time.
So in that phase, will you go hard with the workouts?
No.
You still won't.
So you want to pay attention to volume that you push. You do go hard, but you got to be really careful. The balance of going too hard. So there's this app that we use that says like, how hard was your workout? There's like extremely hard. And then there's like moderate, and then there's kind of hard. You want to be in the kind of hard. Like not like just like one step past moderate. Just like, okay, that was hard. And then you also want to see your volume increasing. And so through this app that I'm using, it'll say like yesterday I broke a record. Oh, you increased your volume by 5%. Great job.
Volume is weights or reps?
Weights and reps. So it counts how I have to type in weight rep, and then it'll tell me what I did last time I did this. And every time I look at it, I always beat my last one.
Is it translating to a number like you pushed a total of 1,700 pounds?
That's
and
what
this
it
time
does.
You pushed 1,750?
It does both. It does like when you did this workout, last time you did 15 pounds and you did 10 reps.
Okay.
And then what I'll do this time is I'll do 15 pounds, 12 or 15 reps.
Okay.
So I always want to do a little bit more.
Makes sense.
And I'm just always challenging myself, right? But then at the very end of the workout, it'll say you pushed an average volume of 8% more than last time. So you want to see that increase, and that means muscle mass, strength, or mental strength is growing. Something's happening. You know what I mean?
Yep. Awesome.
Anyway, I'm excited about it though.
Good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
We fast forward 10 years. What's your life look like?
10 years from now,
10 years from
I'll
now.
be a grandpa.
That's crazy.
Likely.
And you'll be 28? You'll be what?
I'll be 42.
42? Okay.
I'll most likely be a grandpa.
Okay.
10 years from now, I'll have 2 kids in the house.
Yeah. Because your youngest is 4?
4 and then 6.
Yeah.
And then the next one's 8. It goes 4, 6, 8.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I'll have 2 kids in the house, 42. I'll own multiple businesses and have teams that run all of them and be involved to the degree that I'm benefiting the company. I'm very passionate about business, love business. Yep. I love learning about new markets and starting a business. Like, I think that will kind of keep morphing as long as it doesn't take away from the main thing, which I think is a temptation that I could have, right? Is this thing's working, let's do something over here rather than just build this thing, right? So I need to be careful with that. But, and I'm actually talking to myself even later because I could listen to this later. I did this exercise where in 8th grade, I talked to myself as a senior in high school. Okay. And that actually just felt like this, almost like a warning, like focus. Because focus got you here. What got you here won't get you there. Which focus will get you there? Yeah, truly. But yeah, so my wife and I will be thriving in our relationship. Best friends still. All my kids will love me. They want to hang out with me. I know that. I'll be the best grandfather I've ever seen in my life. I'll have awesome businesses. I'll look like a 28-year-old man that's in the best shape of his life. I know that because I'm never going to go back to what I used to. It's just weak mind. And it's just a disservice. And knowing what I know, I shouldn't ever look like that or feel that way, truly. And then I want to help as many people in business as I can. In the same way that you help me, I want to impact people in the same way. Because if I could do that one time, what a gift. Yep. What a gift to that person, let alone their spouse and their kids and their team and their city. Like, literally, I would not have this story if it wasn't for, yes, I made a decision to join the mastermind group with you. But you also provided the opportunity to join the mastermind group, and that changed my life, truly. And because of that, I'm so moved by that model of educating, leading, inspiring, impacting, teaching, also doing it. It's not like, oh yeah, I used to have a business and I'm helping you. It's like, no, I'm still doing it. I'm literally building my business and it's growing year over year. Now, I also want you to get your business up and running, and together we could do it faster. Yep. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. Yep. And
what's that called?
Freedom Brothers. Yeah, Freedom Brothers.
Just say a couple of things about it. Like, why is that? What are you doing there?
So Freedom Brothers is a mastermind community of contractors across the nation. Right now there's 60 contractors that get together every week. And we focus on our faith, our family, our fitness, and our finances. And we basically are a like-minded group that believes that we don't have to sacrifice one of those or any of them for the other, that we can have all of them. And actually, there's a huge argument to be made that by being a holistic man or woman, where you take care of your family and your health and your mind and your body and your business and your team, you don't have to believe the lie that you have to sacrifice one for the other. You will reach a level of production, you will be a totally different person in your family and in your city. So we're helping contractors create freedom in their life. And then we have practical things where we actually give like models of business and things like that to set them up for success. And by building a community of contractors around the nation, very similar to the Academy, we can say like, hey, how did it work when we raised the price by 10% building decks or painting houses? Well, it actually didn't work very good. But it didn't work good here, but it worked good here. So maybe that market's like this market. So maybe we should try it, right? You get a wider range of knowledge. So that's basically what it is.
Will you still be living in Hawaii and Alaska?
Maybe not Alaska, but for sure Hawaii. Yeah.
What will you for sure not be doing in 10 years?
What would I for sure not be doing in 10 years?
Is there anything you're doing today that you will not be doing in 10 years?
I would guess that I wouldn't be sitting in as many seats as I am in my business right now for deck masters. Like I sit in, like there's 5 of the leadership seats and I sit in 3 of them.
Okay.
I only want to sit in 1 of them eventually.
What one? Which one?
Visionary.
Okay.
Yeah. So sit in the visionary seat. I could sit in sales and marketing. It'd be one of those 2.
Okay.
I love operations. I love solving efficiencies and that kind of thing. But I think there's other guys that are really good at that. So yeah, that'd probably be the only thing I don't think I'd want to do. And if I start another endeavor, I definitely wouldn't be sitting in those seats right off the get-go. If that's possible, you know?
Possible.
I know. It's possible.
So if you hadn't gone down this entrepreneurial road, would you be a chiropractor, or what would you have ended up doing?
Well, when
everything else is the same. You and Kylie, 28 kids.
Yeah.
The whole deal, like everything's the same. The only thing is you did become an entrepreneur.
So the one thing I had, if I was going to pursue chiropractic and finish it, which I did pursue it for a while, there's no way that because I saw a path that if you as a doctor become a doctor, right? You go 12 years of schooling, get your doctorate degree, and whatever it is, you are the product. Your hands, your mind is the product. And I saw that when I was going to college, and I did not want that. Mm. And that actually was the biggest thing that scared me, was that unless I build a team of doctors and have a practice, I did not want to have to miss dinner time because a patient called. And so I was planning way early, like this, that's not the life I want to live. I was the son of a doctor, and I saw that. And I wanted to set my life up in a way where I could be where I wanted to be with my family. And so that's kind of what stemmed to like construction. Then I met guys like you who you can build your business, landscape company, and you could build a team, and you could get it to a point to where you can choose where you want to be at 6:00 p.m. at night. Mm-hmm. And whereas my dad, who's still a doctor, can't still. And that's what baffles him. Like, how is this possible? He's the one that spent hundreds. I mean, I did spend a lot of money on school and through coaches, mm-hmm. But I didn't spend I spent like 80 grand out of the university, but I didn't get my degree. But how did I do this? You know?
Yeah. I think we'll start to wind this down.
Yeah.
What's something that most people believe that you think they're completely wrong?
That something's impossible.
That something is impossible.
Yes. I mean, it's like every
You
time.
think the majority of people walk around thinking that things are not possible for them? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they give themselves reasons. So like hearing this story, they'd be like, well, he must have had a really loving father, or his father must have did this to him, or his brothers must have been like this, or his market must have done this. They justify why they can't do that because of their own story.
Yeah.
And I think when you get over yourself and realize that really anything's possible, and if you just enter into a mindset of like anything's possible, I'm going to figure out how to get there, you will find the people in your life that will help you get there. Mm-hmm. Right? It's
good.
Yeah.
You know that I'm super passionate about 15 to 23-year-olds that have decided they want to be entrepreneurs, and how do you help them get there? Mm-hmm. If you were talking to somebody that's that age, mm-hmm. same as what you did, same as what I did, we started young, and they don't know how they're going to get there. They look at all the success other people have. They really want that success now. They feel like, how am I ever going to get the knowledge? Whatever the story is they're telling themselves, but they want this thing so bad, but they just don't know what to do. Maybe they haven't had any examples in their lives.
Right.
What do you say to them?
I would say have patience for yourself would be one. And then figure out what desires you have. Do you want to go to the tech world? Do you want to go to the trades world? Do you want to go to the service world? Do you want to go into the corporate world? But whatever you decide on, don't take your eyes off of it. Stay the course for a long period of time. Longer than anyone. And everything you do, if you go into the corporate world and you're in the printing room do that job better than anyone that you've ever seen. Or you go and you mow lawns, mow that lawn better than anyone, and just be the best and learn that thing better than anyone for like 5 to 10 years. And you will have doors open up once you start. I mean, you're a master at 10,000 hours, right? That's what they say. 5 years of working 40 hours a week, you're considered a master. So just 5 years of doing that thing, you're a master. Just wait and patience, because you could pivot year 6 if you needed to or thought it was a good idea. But most people pivot at year 2 or 3, and then they pivot again at year 2 or 3, and then they just never get the momentum to be able to see the fruits of their labor. Mm-hmm. Patience and just focus.
Great. Anything else you want to leave us with?
I think this is fantastic. I'm excited for you. I think that age group, there's a lot of social pressures and fears, and they're easy to compare. And have grace for yourself. Have patience. Don't be so hard on yourself. Literally simply create a path and consistently go down that path. It doesn't have to be this, oh my gosh, I became a billionaire at 22 years old. Like, you just stay the course and your whole life will be transformed.
Yes.
The more jumping around, you're just going to be in the same place.
Yep. Boy, do I believe that message.
Yeah. Me too.
You're an awesome friend.
Hey,
thank you for doing this.
Yes.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jonathan.